A key thing that we have noticed about Maryland is that really pretty much from the second half of the West Virginia game on is the improvement in their execution. I mean, it really went from half to half. It wasn't just, okay, they had a game against West Virginia, and then 7 days later you could see they were, okay, from the start of the second half through the following game and certainly through the Georgia Tech game, the execution in all three phases has really spiked up. Two things that helped them a lot were, in terms of their scoring, were, as again, is a function of getting enough points in games, was as much as anything special teams and takeaways. Okay, that is, they ran a kickoff back for a touchdown. They recovered a fumble on the 8-yard line and went in and scored a touchdown. So besides your passing game being the area that you produce points, a long time ago, I guess another way to say it, one of Bill Walsh's doctrines was that in his system of offense, he said, you pass to score and run to win. Okay, and that's really the way their games were conducted. The 49ers, when they were in their heyday, when Bill Walsh was the head coach, always had a pretty good rushing total within the NFL. Most of those yards came from midway through the third quarter till the end of the game. Okay, they would get all their points early in the game with their passing game. Okay, then they'd start running the ball to run the clock out, and they'd look like they had a lot of yards running, but they made their points by passing the ball. And you get major chunks of yardage, you get big plays, okay, you get a lot of your points from your passing game, special teams, field position, or run backs, and the turnovers that you can create. That's where points come from. When those three things are minimized or lacking, then scoring becomes a struggle. And when scoring's a struggle, you're always at risk, whether you're going to end up with enough or not. Whether enough means 14 points or enough means 29 points. Okay, it's always an issue, and so that's kind of where what they did is they got 14 points directly off of those two plays, and then they had their first 100-yard rusher of the season. In ball, that's where I really saw that things spiked up, was with the takeaways and with the special teams return. It's not just all scheme. The two Emmanuel Byers passes the last 2 weeks. Now, a little bit of that was scheme. But, he still had to make the throw. Last week, Dayon had to make a real good catch on it. So even though the scheme got the player free, there was still execution that was involved in it. And had the throw been less than what it was in either case, especially last week, and had Dayon not done something to kind of control his speed and make sure that he stayed in bounds, it would have been another one of those just out by a foot deals. So you're absolutely right. One of the things that certainly, to go back to what I was talking about, Ed, about Matt when he was getting started, they weren't the only two, but one of the things that helped him get started was the playmaking of Billy McMullen and Heath Miller. It's one of those deals, Doug, it was done exactly as practiced. He got through the crease, made his body small, kind of as you have to do to get through the crease. He was coming straight up the middle, as I would be coming at you right now. The technique is, when you're coming straight up the middle, is not to go directly at the kicker, but to go off to a side almost so as to go past them. And then if I was going to be blocking the ball off your right leg, I'd be going past your right shoulder, and I'd have this arm out, so I'm either going to block the ball or go past you. There's no way that I'm going to rough the kicker. And his timing on it was perfect. His aim for the block spot was exactly where it had to be done. Much in the same context that Ed asked the other question. The scheme was well devised to give him a chance to get free. The scheme got him free, but the players still had to execute it to make it work. And that's one of the things that we try to emphasize to the players quite a bit, and sometimes is misunderstood in other circles. It's the coach's job to give the players a sound scheme. and to put them in position to make plays. Now, some schemes can be unsound in what you do, but it's the coach's job to put together a sound scheme, one that doesn't have any built-in flaws to it, or not very many grievous built-in flaws, and that will put players in position to make plays. And then the players have got to make the plays. And he did an excellent job in being in position to do what the scheme put him in position to do, just as I said, Emmanuel, the scheme put Emmanuel and Dayon in position to make a play. But the players still had to make, otherwise it would have been a long foul ball. Nobody would remember it. Thought it was the appropriate time, a real good time for the call to have been made at that particular stage in the game. Okay, it would have been long forgotten if the ball had been thrown over his head. Fontel, Jeff, is so conscientious of doing well, and both for his own satisfaction, and he truly is a guy who really does want to do whatever he can to help the team. He's been in a couple of times to, Coach, can I talk to you? And sure, Fontel, what's up? What else can I do to help? That's his only question. What else can I do to help? And wasn't about, how can I get the ball more, or how can I run this route, but what more can I do to help? And so he is very conscientious about his own performance, and he is very mindful of the team. So in that respect, I'm sure that when it's not up to the standard that he has for himself, that it's doubly painful. He wants to satisfy his own ambition. He wants to help the team win. And he's very diligent in his preparation, and he's one of those kids that when things don't go well for him, I really do feel for him, because I know how genuine his involvement is. And so that's why it was nice to see him do so well, and it's nice to be able to bring a little attention to that fact. Well, there are challenges out there every week. Sometimes they're presented as team challenges. Sometimes they're individual challenges. But that's one of the things that's involved in this, and making sure that you just don't throw the plays out there. You have to, I think, let the players know what the specifics of the game. What do we have to deal with? Okay, what's this team we're playing? What do they do well? What are they best at? Okay, who's best for them? Okay, who do we have to deal with? Every week we highlight those things that we characterize as who and what must be specifically dealt with, or else they're probably going to keep us from winning. What schemes do we have to specifically deal with? What players do we have to specifically deal with? Okay, or else those players or those schemes by themselves could cause us to lose.